The sky is a gorgeous thing and has been studied by scientists and astronomers since the birth of the human race. It has always been just slightly out of reach, and although we can now explore it with things like planes and rockets, there are still some mysterious things within the sky that we've observed and have not been able to explain. You wouldn't believe how strange some of these things are or how terrifying they were to the people who saw them. Here are 15 unexplained things caught in the sky. Number 15. Cape Town UFO clouds. Back in 2015 in the city of Cape Town, South Africa, some incredibly strange clouds were reported in the sky. Photos flooded onto social media as people hid in their homes, terrified of what kind of thing could make clouds like this. They were circular and spiral in shape, looking identical to the modern era of what a flying saucer looks like. Most of them were gathered over the mountains, which people thought was odd. Were aliens looking to study the mountains of Earth, or perhaps descend down upon them because they are hard to reach and would give them ample time to hide? Either way, the people didn't really have much to worry about. The clouds dissipated after a while, and meteorologists immediately began trying to figure out what would cause an odd phenomenon like this and why it had only occurred in this small, isolated part of the world. They eventually reported that cloud formations like that were possible and were called lenticular clouds. But many people who were there that day refute the claims and believe that aliens were very much the case. Number 14. Norwegian Spiral. The Norwegian Spiral is a fairly well-studied phenomenon, considering how long ago it occurred and how many people reported it on the night it happened. The initial event took place in 2009 and lasted for approximately 10 minutes. During the event, hundreds of calls were made to the Norwegian Meteorological Institute as people were terrified and wanted to know what was going on. The event consisted of a spiraled blue beam of light with a grayish spiral emanating from one end of it. Many sources describe it as a blue light coming from behind a mountain, stopping in mid-air and beginning to spiral outwards. A similar event had actually occurred in Norway the month before, which people also did not know how to describe. The initial speculations ran wild as many people believed that this was finally evidence of aliens. Others believed that it could have been a Russian military test, though the light patterns didn't perfectly match any previously tested Russian aircraft. UFO enthusiasts still claim to this day that the light was created by aliens, and based on the videos, it's not hard to see why. Before we go on, do like this video, smash that subscribe button, and click the notification bell right now, or this centipede will crawl on your face while you're sleeping. It's time for today's subscriber pick. This odd photograph was taken by a drone that flew a little bit too high into the clouds, to the point where it was out of the owner's view. While it was up there, it managed to take this singular photograph before going haywire, eventually falling down on the ground and shattering on impact. That leads to the question, what is the thing in this photo? Did it cause the drone to crash, or was that just because it got too far away? The thing obviously looks like it's made of clouds, but this is an incredibly strange pattern for clouds to form in. Many believe that this is some sort of angel and that the camera was unable to capture its true form. What do you think? Do you believe this angel-like creature crashed the drone? Remember to comment down below with the hashtag #subscriberpick and let us know what you think. Now on to the next topic. Number 13. Florida fireballs. Citizens of Florida are used to some pretty weird stuff considering the state that they live in, but despite this, they were not expecting a massive fireball to fly across the sky in April of 2021. It looked unlike anything they had ever seen before, and people began to call the American Meteor Society en masse to question what they were seeing. As far as the public knew, there wasn't supposed to be any sort of meteor that night, and speculations immediately rose that it was some sort of UFO. Although the event only lasted a couple of seconds, the footage showcases a gleaming fireball streak across the sky before exploding in a flash as the thing seems to disintegrate in the sky. That led to speculations of some sort of space station or perhaps space debris falling to Earth, but nobody could really be sure. The fireball was actually brighter than Venus in the night sky, which is quite a rare phenomenon. And although many believe the item was a fragment of an asteroid, no remnants have been found, and people still believe that it could have been some sort of alien event. Number 12. Zambian flying ghost. If you've seen the Harry Potter movies, you're likely well aware of what a Dementor is and why they're terrifying. They effectively suck the life force out of you, leaving behind an empty husk, and people have frightfully been afraid of them since they first read the books or saw the movies. The people of Zambia, however, were mortified to see what seemed to be a real-life Dementor appear in the sky above them, coming out of the clouds and wearing what seemed to be an incredibly long robe. The creature was photographed in the sky above the Mukaba Mall in the city of Kitwe, which is in north-central Zambia. It is composed of something obviously darker than the clouds around itself, and compared to the buildings and cars on the ground, it seems to be longer than 100 meters in length. That is massive and would have been terrifying to see flying above you. Zambian news outlets report that the figure stayed in the sky for half an hour, seemingly watching the people on the ground below before vanishing. Many people believed it was an act of God, while others were terrified and ran. Number 11. Chinese city in the sky. You may have seen this video before, as it went fairly viral in the middle of the 2010s when it was first recorded. The video showcases a floating city on a cloud over a Chinese city, and explanations for the phenomena very quickly rolled in. They ranged from an alien city finally falling to Earth to NASA testing a secret city base, to everything in between, and people really couldn't figure out how it could be there. Eventually, meteorologists determined that it was something called a Fata Morgana, also known as superior mirage. It occurs when there is a layer of cold, dense air near the ground with an area of warmer air above it, which is incredibly rare because generally the air nearest to the ground is the warmest. They explain that this layering bent light rays to create this mirage, but overall that seems quite unrealistic. The number of things that would need to go right for this to happen is massive, considering the way light bounces is incredibly random at such a large scale. So what could this be? Many seem to have accepted the Fata Morgana explanation, but overall it's not that convincing. Number 10. Ominous smoke ring. When you look up towards the sky on an average day, you'll likely see a couple of puffy white clouds floating by in the distance. Have you ever considered what makes them white or why they look so fluffy? The clouds are white because they are composed of water vapor, which is an incredibly reflective substance. It reflects all colors of visible light, which the human eye interprets as white. That's what makes this particular video so strange, which is quite unusual. It is also completely black. This is never seen in clouds because it would mean that they are absorbing all visible light, which would make a cloud far too hot to exist. It should just dissipate. This cloud was spotted above Kazakhstan and was reported as a portal to hell and other such monikers. The cloud floated in the air above a small city for about 15 minutes before it dissipated, leaving the people below wondering about what they'd just seen. There are very few believable answers, so many people believe it has something to do with a military test or alien interference. Overall, it's incredibly hard to understand how something like this could have formed. Number 9. Green ball of light. Fireballs themselves are an incredibly interesting phenomenon to see in the sky because nobody can ever be positive on what it is. Sure, it's usually a meteorite or an asteroid, but there's no way for the common person to be sure that's exactly what they're seeing. Several folks in the Midwest, however, were treated to an incredibly unusual light show when a bright green fireball streaked across the sky. There were 37 reports of the incident, which may sound like a small number, but it's actually incredibly large considering they were all disparate and unrelated. This isn't the first time that they've been seen. However, the sightings of green fireballs go all the way back to 1948. Scientists actually have no idea what causes these, which has led to plentiful speculation regarding the origin. Some believe that they are clouds of nuclear fallout leaving the atmosphere, while others believe they are alien in origin. Without any concrete data, it's impossible to know for sure, but it's interesting to think that such a widely reported event is still not understood by scientists. Number 8. Supercharged Aurora. If you're one of the people to be lucky enough to have seen one of the auroras, be it the Borealis or the Australis, then you're in the minority. But even amidst people who have seen them, there is a smaller subset that likely experience something they don't even know exists, a supercharged aurora. The exact reason it happens is not very well understood, but it appears to have something to do with solar flares that expel coronal material in the direction of Earth. When it happens for a very brief time, the auroras grow to around 100 times their normal size and luminosity, meaning that they can be seen better and farther than usual. There are even reports of the Borealis being seen as far south as the United States during some of these events, where it is normally never recorded. Overall, this incredibly rare sight would be a treat to see, and next time there's a coronal mass ejection, make sure to get outside and look up towards the sky. Number 7. Halo around sun. There have been many reports throughout the years of people observing large halos surrounding the sun made of either cloud, rainbow, or a simple continuous ring of white light. Oddly enough, these halos seem to always form before a large storm or hurricane of some sort, which has led to people fearing them and considering them an omen of bad times to come. There are several reported explanations for why these halos form, though none have been conclusively proven. The most likely is that tiny icy crystals in the air are created when the conditions for a large storm are perfect, which reflect light in such a way that creates a halo around the sun. Scientists have taken to describing these as 22-degree halos, as that is the radius of the circle around the sun. They are likely caused by light refraction, like most rainbows are, though it's incredibly rare to see such an event in the sky. Number 6. Spiders? Spiders may be the last thing you want to see when you look up into the sky, but unfortunately it's definitely possible. It's most common in certain areas of Australia and other hot, humid climates where spiders hide in trees and shrubs during the day and hunt at night. When a massive storm blows through an area like this, many of the spiders from the trees are swept up into the air and carried during the storm, brought to some other location where the wind deposits them on the ground. To the person in that new location, however, it simply looks like spiders are raining down from the sky, which must be an overall terrifying experience. It's unknown, however, why the spiders seem to gather in one place after being deposited in a new place. There are several pictures and videos, for example, of spiders all gathering in one tree or on one house after a storm and absolutely covering it in webs. That certainly wouldn't be a fun thing to go outside and see. Number 5. UFO hit by lightning? Many people are skeptical of UFOs, and for good reason. The entire point of them is that they are unidentified, and therefore there isn't a lot of proof that they exist or that they belong to alien life in general. For people that do believe, however, this footage is rather shocking as it appears to depict a UFO being struck by lightning. It's not something that is often thought about, but considering how high they are usually observed to fly and what sorts of materials they are likely made of, it it makes sense that UFOs would be susceptible to lightning strikes. One would assume that aliens are smart enough to ensure that they cannot be hurt if such an event happens. But it's not exactly clear in the video what happens to the UFO after the lightning strikes it. No alien landing craft was ever found, however, unless it was taken by the government before the citizens could see what it was. Either way, it seems like alien inside is likely all right. Number 4. USS Nimitz Footage. If you're a fan of aliens or anything UFO related, you have very likely seen the USS Nimitz footage, often also described as the Tic Tac UFO video. The video was taken in 2004 when an American fighter plane launched from the aircraft carrier USS Nimitz and encountered a UFO while flying in the sky above the ocean. The pilot is rather frightened when he notices the object flying near him, obviously because it doesn't appear on the radar like it should and instead is only really visible via the shoddy camera that is used for broad-scale shooting. It was tic-tac in shape and flew next to him despite not seeming to have any obvious form of propellant or flight mechanic. This footage was actually classified by the Pentagon for a very long time and only declassified in recent years, though no explanation was provided with it. That sends a very clear message that the Pentagon has no idea what it was. Number 3. El Salvador's Bloody Sky. The beautiful blue color of the sky is one of the many reasons that people are calmed by it. Blue is a calming color to the human brain, and it's quite lucky that the sky shares it. Many people in El Salvador in 2016, however, were met with a terrifying fate when the sky above them ran a bloody red, without any explanation as to its occurrence. Many of the religious people within the area thought it was a sign of the coming apocalypse, especially considering most of the people who saw it were just leaving a church service at the Horem Ebenezer Church in Chalchuapa. The effect only lasted a matter of seconds, but afterwards it left the sky with a pinkish tint, which was a painful reminder of the event that lasted for a long time afterwards. Many people still worry that the event foretold the apocalypse and that humanity is just waiting for it to arrive. Number 2. Earthquake lights. Earthquake lights are an incredibly rare and unexplained phenomenon that occurs in the air near areas of tectonic stress, meaning that they can happen either right before or during the event of an earthquake. There is currently no scientific consensus on why it happens or what causes it, despite there being continuous documented proof of it happening in several areas of the world. It's one of the most well-documented and least understood phenomena in the world. The first records of earthquake lights go all the way back to the year 869 in Japan, where writers described strange lights in the sky during the earthquake. They are reported to have similar shapes to the auras, with a white to bluish hue, but very rarely they've been reported with a wider color spectrum. They are apparently visible for several seconds before vanishing, though one report detailed the lights lasting for nearly 10 minutes in a sustained manner. It doesn't seem to be related to the epicenter, as lights have been reported as far as 70 miles from the center of the earthquake. It's incredibly difficult to understand why this happens, and it will likely take scientists a long time to figure out what causes it. Number 1. Ball lightning. Ball lightning is an incredibly rare, unexplained phenomenon where luminescent spherical objects are seen floating through the air or in the sky. Their size can range from pea-sized to several meters, though the most common size seems to be around that of a basketball. They are reported to last considerably longer than the split-second flash of a lightning bolt and have been reported for several centuries going back. Some 19th century reports describe balls that actually explode and leave behind an odor of sulfur, which would make sense considering the makeup of lightning and What causes it to occur? Locations of lightning strikes often smell of sulfur as well due to the lightning actually splitting the molecules in the air. Laboratory experiments have actually been conducted to replicate ball lightning, and many have succeeded, but the conditions needed were so specific and so unorthodox that it's a mystery how the event actually occurs in nature. Considering how far back the reports go, it's unlikely that these events are hoaxes, and yet scientific data regarding ball lightning remains scarce. Hopefully, more data regarding them will be published soon. So, which of these things do you think is the craziest? What would you do if you saw any of these things in the sky above you? Tell us in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure to smash that like and subscribe button. This allows us to make bigger, better videos for you to enjoy. Hey, hit that bell icon while you're at it so you're always alerted to new videos, and we'll see you in the next one.